Hi guys, welcome and welcome back to my channel. And on today's topic, we will be talking about, I think I already spoken about this, but I think I want to speak about this now and the mentality that I'm in. How if you have a soft heart, your program got to be reclos. It has to be damn near the strictest program that you could ever come up with. Because having a soft heart means that you are comfortable in vulnerability. You're comfortable in intimacy. You're comfortable in safety. Okay? You don't overreact when on things that an anxious person would deal with or an avoidant person would deal with. You just have a soft heart. There's a difference between having a soft heart and having a big heart. Big heart is come all, take all. And those people need their own boundaries. But right now I'm just going to focus on soft hearts, which is people who are okay in softness. They're okay with not being on high alert. You know what I'm saying? If you have that, you need to protect it at all costs. And that is why it is so important to run a strict program, because the more you let people toy with that soft heart, the harder it gets. You know, it's kind of like a loaf of bread. If you don't pack it nice, it's going to get stale. Okay, you letting the air get to it, you letting people run their hands on it, it's going to get stale. And then when people run their hand on it, they're making crumbs and stuff. They're kind of like breaking apart the bread. They're kind of fucking up the quality of the product. You can't let everybody have their hands on you. Okay? And within that, having a soft heart also required that you reach the level where you have gotten to know yourself so well that you could check off what it is that somebody would thrive in your environment and where they would not thrive into your environment. You know the pros and the cons of a person the moment that they bring themselves to you. You know how you could benefit a person just like a person could benefit from you. Having a soft heart is damn near like knowing yourself to a point where you don't meet your inner child. That's the best way to describe it, right? Having a big heart is like you're just a very genuine person. You're a very nice person. You're a very caring person, very empathic person. But having a soft heart is like you have now got into your inner child and you're hugging yourself. Like you just cuddling a baby. And you know, imagine having all these monsters coming at your baby. The first thing you do is you fall into the instinct of being a mom is you get into protective mode. Like, hey, y'all better back away. And that's what you need to do with your heart. Having a soft heart means that you can love somebody to a very high intensity. And you can't just love anybody. Your program got to be so damn strict, you could damn near read it off a paper if you had to. If I asked you right now, like, what does your program consist of? You could be able to tell it back to me and tell me this, and this, and these are my boundaries, and these are my morals, and these are my values. And if somebody doesn't meet this or doesn't meet that, out of here. Obviously, with a lot of realistic, how I like to break it in my program at least, is you have the red flags, which are your deal breakers, non-negotiables. You have your orange flags, which are things that you can visually picture yourself tolerating on the long term. Things like, and things that can be modified, I would like to say. If your partner has this bad habit of balling up the socks in the laundry basket, these are things that on a long term would trigger you, right? If not addressed. But if is addressed and you have a partner that has the ability to learn, to be flexible, to adapt to change, you tell them, hey, I don't really like when you do this. It really does irritate me. Da 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 da. Cool. They stop doing it gradually, of course, because change doesn't happen over time. So if on a long scale, you're able to tolerate this thing until it's gone, it's an orange flag. And then you have the green flags, which is everything that you will want in a partner. You know, there are things that I require in my soft heart that are thought through. And some of these things are experience based, and some of these things are theoretical based. Meaning, I've seen somebody go through it and they came back and told me about it, and I said, well, you know what? Me seeing it is all I need to understand the gravity of importance that it needs to be on my list. And experience based are things that I've experienced like firsthand, and I was like, never the fuck again. Now the real question lies in, how do you get to this point where it's like you now know all the good, like the red, the orange, and the green. An exercise that I did after every relationship talking stage, dating stage, is I sit down with myself. And I think some of y'all are familiar with this, like shadow work, but I do it in a sense of, for this exercise, is I make a list of the pros and cons. I always tell this to people: the person that you broke up with is not gonna always be 100% villain. Because if they were 100% villain, truth be told is you probably would have already left them. Okay? So some good must have kept you in the dynamic that you are now running from. What were those things that lured you in, or what were those things that held you there? Just like you need to write the things that you can no longer tolerate. Things that you, hey, I will never put myself through this again. I played with my boundaries, like things like that. And once you have the two, every time you date somebody, you keep those pros and cons in mind. Every time you meet someone new, you're shortening the gap. You no longer have to invest your whole heart, your whole feelings, your whole emotional state into someone before knowing if they're a good or bad person. That is literally how you create those boundaries. What I'm saying is, when I say a soft heart needs strict program, I don't necessarily mean create a wall over your heart. Just create a gate. Okay? A gate, not a wall. So you open that gate to whoever you feel like has went through security down there. It's damn near a gated community. You gotta go through security. He gotta change your ID. By the time you come in, you gotta have the pin code to my gate, and then the gate open, and okay, then you get to the doorbell. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So you guys can understand the statement. Like, you want to create gates around your heart. There is something so important within that, because every time you shorten that gap, you stop yourself from creating traumas to yourself. I've said this in a past video. I cannot recall which one, because I do say this statement to almost all of my friends. But it has been proven that it takes 90 days to create a habit, 30 days to create routine. Imagine how fast trauma installs itself when you have been together with a person for a year that has been playing and tiptoeing on your boundaries. Think about that. So you are already healing from the trauma that were out of your control in your childhood, and now you're sitting here adding onto the trauma. Like, girl, you is never gonna get healed. Like, you gotta shorten that gap. It's imperative that you do so, because if you don't, every single time that you give somebody a chance and you invest yourself emotionally, you give yourself emotionally, the bitterness comes in, the resentment comes in. You start trusting people less and less and less. And then your soft heart that you had is no longer a soft heart. Every time you let somebody beat on your inner child, you lose trust in that inner child. That child starts fearing you. That child starts to back itself up into a corner. It no longer wants to speak to you. It no longer wants to, dabble here and there with you. It is imperative that you protect your inner child with everything in your power. And soft hearts could come from two things. At least the two things that I know of. If y'all know more, please comment, okay? But you have people who came from an amazing household with two parents, with two secure attachment styles that communicate with this child, that made them understand that safety is not something that you should fear or be wary of, that comfortability is something that you should look for, not familiarity, things like that. And then you have people who create soft hearts from the work, from the shadow work, from going to therapy, from going to retreats, from meditation, from all of that stuff, from the gym even. Like, you know, you create this thing where it's like you keep linking your inner child back into you until you have him right or her right in front of you. And then it's like, I'm gonna protect you now, you know. And once you have built this link of trust of like, I found you through all of this, you can't just be allowing people to come in and tousle your child and toss them and throw them and hit on them and beat on them and yell at them. Everything you allow is you hurting your inner child. And then on a surface level as an adult now is you playing with your, disrespecting your boundary. Matter of fact, let me wrap it up. It's you disrespecting yourself. That's it. Every time you let somebody cross a boundary, every time you let somebody speak to you in a certain way with no consequence, every time you let somebody without the right morals and values that don't align with yours, you are actively disrespecting yourself. So if you disrespect yourself, why would the person across from you ever respect you? The one person that is supposed to be respecting you, which is you, is completely disregarding the respect. And now you want the respect that you claim to have to be given back to you by a complete strangers when the first person that is supposed to give that respect isn't even doing its job. You need to be having a very well written program. I don't know. Some people are visual learners. Some people are in the imagination. Some people learn different. However, you need to utilize the information in your past relationship. If there's one exercise I could give anybody today, would be to sit down, think back on every single relationship, whether it's a talking stage, whether it's think about it. If you've never been in a relationship, I'll go as far as even utilizing your dad or your mom and saying the pros and cons. Obviously, a lot of us couldn't just leave the house. I'm speaking to the black people. Just leave the house like this. It doesn't usually work like that. But what kept you there if the possibility of you leaving was a choice? And you utilize that. Because a lot of the times, and the older you're going to get, you know, now that my frontal lobe is developed, I love saying that, you realize that everything goes back to childhood. It always goes back to how you were raised. It always goes back to the dynamic you had with your mom, the dynamics you had with your dad. It always goes back to that. So you need to tie it in. What are things that make you feel safe? What are things that make you feel anxious? What are things that you feel like you can't trust nobody on? What are things that you feel like you could completely give to somebody to do and have no second thought? Like, you have got to teach yourself. And one of the videos that I will be uploading soon will be exactly about that, which is like learning about yourself. It is crucial. Please and thank you. It is so crucial. So that is all I have to say on this topic for today. Thank you guys so much for watching, at least till the end, if you did. Please make sure you comment, like, subscribe, sorry. Send this video to somebody that you feel like need it. And if it's you, then send it to yourself. You know what I'm saying? So, please don't be scared to tell me what you think in the comments. I love hearing what you guys have to say, the comments that you guys and the feedback. I love it. The longer the paragraph, the better. I love details. So, sorry.